Welcome to the Asia Pacific Photography Awards 2025 Black and White category. This category is for photographs that are captured in or converted to black and white. This open category allows images from any genre. Image scoring in this category will be determined based on the quality of the black and white conversion and how much this adds to the image. My name is Sarah McGregor. I will be your panel chair today. And we have joining us on our judging panel, Chris Anderson, Rachel Smith, Michelle Fay, Craig Turner-Bullock and Johan van Kaan. Welcome to the panel, everybody. We are going to start this category with a run through of the top 10 images that will be judged live today. Okay, first image, please. Thank you, judges. We have a score of 83. Johan, you're on 87. Do you want to challenge that?
Yeah. I'd like to ask the question of the other judges who did not look at this image and smile, because it's funny, it's humorous and it's obviously humorous, and as a black and white image, it is so well controlled. All the whites have good detail. There's a softness to it. There's a crispness as well. It's just excellent. And I can't understand why it's sitting at a lesser mark. It's well composed, it's well seen, and it's funny.
Okay, can we hear from Craig Turner-Bullock? Can you let us know what your score is, please?
Yeah, I scored at 81, and I think you're probably right, Johan. I've probably been a little bit mean because I did smile when this came up, and I do enjoy it. And as I sit with it more, I'm really enjoying the tonal qualities. I mean, even in the kind of deepest shadows, you can see some detail there. And I think that kind of crispness and that softness is quite enjoyable, as well as the obvious humor of the image. So I will lift my score.
Okay, could we hear from someone in the middle? Maybe Rachel Smith?
I scored this image 84, and I'm an easy convert, Johan. I was smiling and right on the fence going into the next scoring range, so it's a no-brainer for me. I think that the black and white conversion does exactly what the brief of the category asks with regards to adding to the image, and it is really, really well handled, so I'm happy to come up with you.
Okay, Johan, wrap it up.
Cool. Who can't see the Marshmallow Man? It's pretty obvious. I'd like to see this go up to the next category, to the 85 to 89 area. It's beautifully handled, well seen, and brought to us on a platter. It's so easy, so easy.
Okay, judges, can you please rescore? Johan, can you re-enter your score?
I will.
Thank you, judges. We have a silver with merit. Congratulations to the photographer. Okay, next image, please. Okay, we have pretty consistent scoring there, and the image scores an 86. That is a silver with merit. Would somebody like to talk to this image for the photographer? Craig?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I think this is a fantastic shot of the Sphinx cat. The light has been really well handled to accentuate all of those amazing wrinkles. The moment is beautiful with that outstretched paw. And yeah, I love the little addition of the pearl necklace there as well. I think it's really sweet. An improvement, perhaps, there's that subtle oval around the cat to frame it that you've got there. If that was a little bit more obvious, that would be quite nice to see the difference between the dark grey and the black tones. Very subtle.
Thank you, Craig. Can we have the next image, please? Thank you, judges. We have an initial score of 88, and Johan's got his hand up straight away. Johan?
Cool. That we're at 88 suggests that people think highly of this image already. Firstly, talk about the black and whiteness of it. It needed to be black and white. It deserved to be black and white. And the photographer has honored the black and white in presenting this photograph. The clarity of the image, the details are spectacular. What struck me was the slight hint of hesitance in the subject. And the more I look at it, because initially I thought overposed, you know, and then I felt, no, this subject is questioning us. It's questioning the viewer and saying, am I doing this right? And when people get to an age, sometimes they ask that, sometimes they're not sure. And I think this is a powerful image for that. I gave it a 91, perhaps I was even a little bit shy.
Okay, Craig, you're also in the gold range. Could we hear from you as well, please?
Yeah, I gave this 92. And
Oh, Craig, you should have stuck it.
Well, you got in there so fast, Johan. I didn't have the chance.
Sorry, man.
love this. I think for this category, this conversion is just absolutely sublime. I think the expression, the texture of the skin, the way he has his hat, everything about this tells us a lot about this person. I think that it's a very emotive image. I feel something of perhaps an idea of what this person has been through in their life, and that their life hasn't been easy. And yeah, I just really feel this one. So it was a 92 for me.
Thanks, Craig. Chris Anderson, could we hear from you, please, and your score?
Yep, so I'm on 83. I had it in the silver range. Everything that you have both said, I agree with. Like the black and white conversion is amazing. The detail is amazing in the face. And I'm talking about that kind of personality coming through. I really agree with. I think I was on 83. I think I was a bit shy, and I'm definitely moving up into silver with merit. I think some of the things that drew me down a little bit. Like his face is absolutely magnetic, which I love. There's been a choice to have the background the way that it is. And there's a little bit of haloing around the outside of kind of where the jacket meets the clouds or whatever that texture is, especially down by the elbow. And I found that a little distracting. So that kind of pulled me it made me more aware of the process and less aware of the subject, if that makes sense. That's a pretty minor thing to be concerned about, though. So I'm definitely coming up. I would actually love to hear from someone else sort of on my end of the scoring range too, but I'll be heading up to silver with merit at least.
Thanks, Chris. Michelle, you're sort of in the mid-range there. Could we hear from you, please, and your score?
Yeah, I scored this image 85. I really did enjoy it and gave it that merit. I was the same as Chris. I just saw that haloing down the bottom. It does draw me in. So the more I look at it, the more I'm interested in why he's covering up his eye and more of his story. So he really does grab me. So I am interested in hearing what the end wrap up is, and see if it can totally convince me to come up a little bit higher.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, we've got Johan and Craig both in gold. Johan, do you want to finish this one off?
I have to, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, no, that's good. So, okay. I'm not a fan of halo. I think that's a really unfortunate thing to happen sometimes. In this instance, it's making the figure pop off the background and almost out of my screen. And in this instance, I think it's effective. In many other instances, it's one of the things that I would also drag an image down for. But in this particular instance, I feel that this man, as reluctant and hesitant as he is coming towards me. And for that, power to the photographer. So I've given this a gold, and I'd love other people to come and join me.
Thanks, Johan. Judges, can you please rescore? Johan, can you please enter your initial score? Thank you, judges. We have a gold at 90. Congratulations to the photographer. Next image, please. Thank you, judges. We have very consistent scoring on this image, and this image scores an 83. That is a silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. Would somebody like to provide a comment?
Sure, I'll do a comment if you like.
Thank you.
So really nicely seen image, and I think having the window looking through to that tree in the background is spectacular. And I think we're all responding to that, which is good. I think for me to elevate it, I think there's a tonal range in the top third of the image that seems more pronounced than in the bottom. So that kind of inconsistency meant I was moving around with my eyes looking at that instead of enjoying the view. So I think from a black and white conversion and tonal handling point of view, a little bit of improvement there would have lifted this higher.
Thanks, Chris. Can we have the next image, please? Thank you, judges. That image scores an 84. That is a silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. Would someone like to give a comment?
Sure. A wonderful abstraction in this image. I think I know what I'm looking at, but I'm not sure, and that's excellent. So there's a good use of the tonal range around the image as well. And this feels like it almost looks like it's a plant covered with spider webs on a frosty morning, or someone in a dress swirling around. So there's a whole lot of ways you can interpret it, and I love that. I think to improve it for me, there's a crispness, even though it's got kind of that motion drag all the way through it. There's a crispness in most of the image, and in the top section in particular, it feels more out of focus than motion blurred. And I think if that had the same level of kind of crispness as the rest of the image, then I would have gone much higher.
Thank you, Chris. Can we have the next image, please? Thank you, judges. We have a score of 85. That is a silver with merit. Could we get a comment from someone, please?
I can, if you like.
Thanks, Craig.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I think that you could sit with this and explore the atmosphere and the wilderness in this for a little while. It almost reminds me of a pencil drawing or a charcoal drawing. I think just the two really, the larger, brighter snowflakes in the middle just really hold my attention a little bit too long, and ideally those would be addressed, I think, to just allow you to explore more and not just get caught up by a small part of the image in the middle there.
Thanks, Craig. Can we have the next image, please? Thank you, judges. We have an initial score of 85, which is a silver with merit, and we have an automatic challenge from Michelle Fay. So, Michelle, can you tell us what your score is, please?
I scored this image 90. I just find it incredibly exquisite. The female form without showing the female form, and just the strength within her body without having to see her face. And I just want to know, what is she up to? Is she Cupid, one of Cupid's friends, and is about to fire something off into someone's heart? And that heart is going to get stolen by that beautiful woman. And it's just the strength that would take to stand on her toes. But it's just I could look at this image for a very long time. It's just the strength and the posing, and it's like she's about to hunt someone down. And I just find it really strong, but that little bit of fun as well. And I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are.
Thanks, Michelle. Can we hear from Craig Turner Bullock, please, and your score?
Sure. So I've got this at 82. I absolutely love the light. The posing, I think, is really striking. But I didn't take it into the higher ranges for a couple of reasons. The first reason really is that this is the black and white category. And I think that the tonal range is not as good as it could be, especially in the tip of the arrow, which really gets lost against the shadowed area on that left side, and the highlights in the hair. And whilst I appreciate the hair is the brightest part of the image really, and that's where we kind of almost want our eyes to go, it highlights that the styling is a little bit let down in the hair as well, because it looks a little bit messy. So that was why I didn't come up further. I'm not into gold, definitely, but I could probably come up a little bit from where I am. But I'm not all the way up into gold.
Thanks, Craig. Chris Anderson, could we hear from you, please?
Craig said so much good stuff there. It's hard to top. And Michelle, I agree with everything you say about the form. It's striking, and you look at the athleticism of this subject and the kind of work someone has to do in order to balance and get this all right. And so there's a lot to this to love. I'm on 83. I think I'll probably come up into silver with merit. For me, the kind of reasons that drew me back, the losing the arrowhead, yes. I felt like the spotlight on the ground was really quite pronounced, and once you start exploring that area, it becomes a distraction. For me, though, the biggest thing is actually the styling of the hair, and it's almost like a gap right on the back of that head. Like if you follow the top of the head around to the back, there's this like almost little indentation, and because that is the brightest part of the image towards the foreground, you want it to be something that rewards that visit. And it does look a little messy compared to the absolute beauty of the rest of the image. So that's what's keeping me out of gold.
Thanks, Chris. Michelle, back to you, please.
Oh, sorry, can I say something?
Yeah, go for it, Rachel.
So I scored this 88, and I would like to see it come up if possible. I'm not 100% on the gold, but I just wanted to say why I put it into the scoring range I did. And I feel like that there's a really nice balance in the tension and strength in the body and the tension and strength in the bow. I actually don't mind that spotlight on the ground because it brings me to the highlights on the feet, which then actually leads me all the way up the highlights through the body, into the hair, into the hand, and through into the arrow, and I circle back around. So I find that really, really pleasing. And the balance of the subject and the composition and the lighting works really well for me as well. So Michelle, if you've got any more to add there, then I'd be a pretty easy convert.
I can forgive those highlights in the hair due to the fact that my hair is very similar to that except different color. But it does get a little bit loose, and if you're chasing Cupid and you're chasing someone, you do not have time to style your hair perfectly. And for me, that is why it's a little bit messy. She is trying to steal someone's heart with that arrow, and she's trying to do it as elegantly as she can. The lighting on the bottom, Rachel covered that. I actually don't mind it because it draws you into the fact that she is standing on her tippy toes, and it just leads you up to the top of that image. And while it is a little bit hot, but that's where you want your eye to go, is it ends up on that face, and you kind of wonder what she's thinking and where she's going and who she's hunting. And it just leads you to that imagination. I'd love you to come up at least just a little bit.
Thanks, Michelle. Judges, can we please have you rescore? And Michelle, can you enter your initial score? Thank you. Thank you, judges. We have a silver with merit at 88. Can we have the next image, please? Thank you, judges. We have a score of 85. That is a silver with merit. Congratulations to the photographer. Would somebody like to give a comment on this one, please?
I'm happy to.
Thanks, Craig.
I love the character that you've captured in this dog. The texture and the detail in all of the fur and that feathery mane, I think, is excellent. I wanted to go higher with this, but what really reserved me is the kind of dark shadowing around the mane there, and that dark shadowing around those feathery bits is a different texture to the background texture as well. So a little bit more attention to detail in that area, and I would have absolutely gone higher with my score on this one.
Thanks, Craig. Can we have the next image, please? Thank you, judges. We have an initial score of 88, which is a silver with merit, and we have Johan with his hand up on 94. Johan?
Yeah. What a surprise. These wonderful, luminous, crustaceous things. They look like prawns and crabs and lobsters, but they aren't. I don't know what they are, but they're luminous. They're absolutely startling, and each one has its own personality without actually being an identifiable thing. Maybe you can illuminate me on that. And as a set, they're like a dance. They're like a three-piece dance, and it's just magic. I don't know what else to say because I'm just kind of starstruck by these. These are quite strong and powerful and gentle and wonderful.
Thank you, Johan. Chris Anderson, could we hear from you, please?
So I'm on 82. I had this squarely in silver, and there is something. What you said, crustaceous. That's such a good word. There's something about these that that is very enticing. I love, and I know I'm guessing about how this was made, but it feels like there's one smoke capture or there's one capture of whatever this is that's been one of those that's been twisted and mirrored in order to make these shapes, and they're all quite different. And I kind of see this as almost like a creature that's moving away from you. It's going to turn around and come back towards you, and then it's going, oh no, and it's scurried to the right and it's running off. So like I love that. Where I had a little more hesitation is just some of the attention to detail of presentation. If you look at the image on the right, that box is slipped down by a couple of pixels, and I think it might even be a different weight. So it's, once you see that, you kind of go, oh, like that attention to detail is something that I want to see if I'm moving up further from silver. I think the other thing that maybe bothered me a little bit, and Johan, you can, if you want to address this, that's cool. The image on the right, the other two are so well contained by the box that they're in. The one on the right, the way it touches the edges, especially that left edge, I found that a little bit, that tension, I didn't love it. And they didn't sit in that box as well as the other two. I definitely want to reward the photographer for seeing the potential in this shape and making something so amazing. But it's going to take a little bit of work to get me moving out of silver.
Thanks, Chris. Can we hear from Craig Turner-Bullock?
Yeah, I think that the qualities that you guys have all talked about already is why I've put this in at 87. I really enjoy it. I think that it is a study of crustaceans in my view, and I really enjoy that. Chris, I didn't take it into the gold range because of the attention to detail, as well as that kind of dropped box on the right hand side. I do find that white frame on the overall piece really pulls your eye outside of that triptych there. And another thing that I thought just didn't quite do it for me is that the first two in this are mirrored, and the third and final piece is not. So that slightly different treatment there just kept me out of going into gold range, and I'm pretty comfortable with where I'm sitting with this one for those reasons.
Thanks, Craig. Can we also hear from Rachel Smith, please?
Yep. Excellent. I scored this 92, so I'm right up there with you, Johan. And it's quite interesting that you mentioned dancing, because the first thing I wrote on my little notepad was Dances with Light. And I think that this is really beautiful. I didn't see the crustaceans that everyone else was talking about. I saw internal organs, pelvis, hips, a kidney. I don't know. I think that the takeout there is that I was so enchanted by what I was seeing that I didn't notice the finer details of the box borders and stuff, because I was just so easily led into exploring the important part, which is the actual image itself. And I'd love to see it come into the gold range if it can.
Thanks, Rachel. Back to you, Johan, please.
Yeah, I'm deeply disappointed at many things. One being that there are a couple of pixels down on the right-hand side box, and that is a bit of a shame. That is a bit of a shame. A bit of a shame, big enough for me to drop, 6 points. The touching of that image to the edges makes it more involved, and it's almost like a rebellion to the other two images, because it's also facing in another direction and it's not a mirror. So I do see it as a dance in three pieces, as a movement with a beginning, a middle, and then a farewell. And that enchantment is what drew me into giving it a 94. Yeah, see how you go.
Thanks, Johan. Judges, can you rescore, please? Thanks, judges. We have a gold at 90. Congratulations to the photographer. We have the next image, please. Thank you, judges. We have very consistent scoring on that image. The image scores an 86. That is a silver with merit. Congratulations to the photographer. Could we have a comment, please, from Rachel Smith?
Yeah, this image is really well handled. The black and white conversion is lovely. The composition and the way that the lines are so beautifully balanced is really, really cleverly done. I actually don't have anything that I can suggest to elevate the image. I feel like it sits really well in the score that it's achieved, but I also think that it's very, very cleverly captured.
Thanks, Rachel. And that is the end of the 2025 black and white category top 10 images. Thank you, judges.